So I thought of reading from chapter 10 because before Ram Navami I was reading from chapter 10 and I didn't finish the chapter. There's many verses without purport. And I'm going to read starting with 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Translation for text 13, Canto 9, Chapter 10. After reaching the beach, Lord Ramachandra fasted for 3 days, awaiting the arrival of the ocean personified. When the ocean did not come, the Lord exhibited his pastime of anger. And simply by his glancing over the ocean, all the living entities within it, including the crocodiles and sharks, were agitated by fear. Then the personified ocean fearfully approached Lord Ramachandra, taking all paraphernalia to worship him. Falling at the Lord's lotus feet, the personified ocean spoke as follows. No purport. Text 14. Oh, all-pervading Supreme Person, we are dull-minded and did not understand who you are, but now we understand that you are the Supreme Person, the Master of the entire universe, the unchanging and original personality of Godhead. The demigods are infatuated with the modes of goodness, the Prajapatis with the mode of passion, and the Lord of Ghosts. Who's that? The Lord of Ghosts. There's ghosts, but then there's the Lord of Ghosts. With the mode of ignorance, but you are the master of all these qualities. Purport. The word jada diya refers to intelligence like that of an animal. A person with such intelligence cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without being beaten, an animal cannot understand the purpose of a man. Similarly, those who are dull-minded cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but when punished severely by the modes of material nature, they begin to understand him. The Hindi poet has said, Dukha se sab hari bhaje, sukha se bhaje koi, sukha se agar hari bhaje, dukha Katan say hi. One who is distressed. When one is distressed, he goes to the church or temple to worship the Lord. But when opulent, he forgets the Lord. Therefore, punishment by the Lord through the material nature is necessary in human society, for without it men forget the supremacy of the Lord due to their dull, blunt intelligence. I'm just reading this. I already covered the verse in previous verses, but that's okay. Hearing it again is nice. Text 15 with a long purport. My Lord, you may use my water as you like. Indeed, you may cross it and go to the abode of Ravana, who is the great source of disturbance and crying for the 3 worlds. He is the son of Vishrava, but is condemned like urine. Please go kill him, and thus regain your wife Sita. Oh, great hero, although my water presents no impediment to your going to Lanka, please construct a bridge over it to spread your transcendental fame. Upon seeing this wonderful, uncommon deed of your lordship, all the great heroes and kings in the future will glorify you. Purport. It is said that a son and urine emanate from the same source, the genitals. When a son is a devotee or a great learned person, the seminal discharge for begetting a son is successful. But if the son is unqualified and brings no glory to his family, he is no better than urine. Pretty harsh. Here, Ravana is compared to urine because he was a cause of disturbances to the three worlds. Thus, the ocean personified wanted him killed by Lord Ramachandra. Paragraph. One feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, is omnipotence. The Lord can act without regard to material impediments or inconveniences, but to prove that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and was not merely advertised as Godhead or elected by popular vote, he constructed a wonderful bridge over the ocean. Nowadays, it has become fashionable to create some artificial God who performs no uncommon activities. A little magic will bewilder a foolish person into selecting an artificial God because he does not understand how powerful God is. Lord Ramachandra, however, constructed a bridge over the water with stone by making the stone float. This is proof of God's uncommon wonderful power. Why should someone be accepted as God without displaying an extraordinary potency by doing something never done by any common man? We accept Lord Ramachandra as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he constructed this bridge. And we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he lifted Govardhan Hill when he was only 7 years old. We should not accept any rascal as God or an incarnation of God, for God displays special features in his various activities. Therefore, the Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvataha tyaktva deham purnar janma naitimameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take birth again in this material world, but he attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The activities of the Lord are not common. They are all transcendentally wonderful and not able to be performed by any other living being. The symptoms of the Lord's activities are all mentioned in the Shastras, and after one understands them, one can accept the Lord as he is. And for just reading this, I already read this, but that's okay. It's a lot of messages. The purpose of the Vedas, of Bhagavad Gita, we know the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna, or to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And most people don't understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although they have something. Many may have something of an idea, but tattvataha, in truth. I don't know if any of you have contemplated the verse that we just recited, or Prabhupada cited. Any Sunday school kid could give the answer to the question. The transcendental nature of my appearance and activities will not take birth again. So what's the transcendental nature? Transcendental nature of my activities, my appearance and activities. They can narrate the appearance, and they can narrate the activities in Haribol. Purnarjanma na. So we check the box and going back to Godhead, right? Got an A in our Bhakti Shastra exam or Bhagavad Gita class, and back to Godhead. So it implicit, there's something more than just information. Or explicit, there must be some realization of. Now, a big part of what Prabhupada does in the Bhaktivedanta purports is he distinguishes reality from illusion. That is, again and again and again and again and again, those who are claiming to be God by word jugglery and or producing some magic and or combination of things, and persons that are sentimental and a little foolish, they can accept this is God and I'm God and so forth and so on. And gosh, does Prabhupada speak about this and write about this again and again. So in one sense, we're protected because we're kind of in this little bubble. At least I feel I'm in this little bubble. That we're not exposed to people going around saying I'm God and you're God, or at least I'm God and you can become God too, or something like that. It's not so prominent in our face, but apparently it's quite common. For those in this ISKCON bubble, we're not exposed to that so much. But because he says it again and again and again, it's out there, and some people go for it, and for different reasons. The list is reasonably long list, starting with envy. I want to be that, so how can someone else be that? I don't want to surrender. That's demeaning. So let me not surrender. And then what are the options to be a spiritual person and not surrender? You're one with the Supreme. And go for it. This myth by philosophy or meditation or something. And it's appealing to many, many people. This is to many, many inclined for spiritual. Now, inclined for spiritual means there's a mix of material. And then the mix of material defines what that pseudo-spiritual or quasi-spiritual or less than spiritual disposition is, and the teachings and the orientation, the practices, and the followings, and the groupism that goes on with people that like to not surrender. Or a little bit, but not too much, because that's fanaticism, right? Too much is fanaticism, so not too much, a little bit. The way that Prabhupada would speak about the personalism was not so much hammering on the absolutism of accepting Krishna, but rather the other side of beware of persons that are presenting their divinity, their own divinity, or everyone's divinity, or something, or everyone's godhood, abundant. So to go to Janma, back to the verse, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha. So then the key word there is tattvataha, in truth. And that's the full-on, full shelter position. Because you can't get to the tattvata, or in truth, without it. So gradual cultivation of practice to get to the stage where the mind is fixed and the heart's orientation is fixed. So there's the purification, which anyone who reads Bhaktivedanta purports, I mean, yes, read Bhagavad Gita, but then with the Bhaktivedanta purports, where the reminders are constantly there. Watch out for the curve in the road, and watch out for the ditch on the side, and watch out for this and that. Staying faithful to the bhakti path, guided by nice gentle instructions by our founder Acharya, and sometimes these very harsh things, or that harsh, strong urine, no better than urine. Ooh. Because Ravana is a character who is the epitome of bad, or against the supreme. And then there's many other people that aren't as powerful as Ravana, or as full of austerity and thus powerful as Ravana, but of a similar disposition. So the purpose is not sticking one's tongue out at Ravana and people like Ravana. It's just being wary. To be honored is the one that's in this other category. To be not associated with and having affinity for is the other. Now go in the other direction. In Sundarakanda, when Hanuman reaches, this is before the building of the bridge that's being described here, Hanuman reached Lanka, and he's looking for Sita, although he's never met Sita. He doesn't have a photograph of Sita, doesn't have a painting of Sita, he doesn't know what she looks like. But he does have an idea of what she's like, and fastidious. So part of what he does, Hanuman, manages to get inside Ravana's palace, and as he's roaming around the palace, maybe Sita's here, he comes to the conclusion Sita's not here, but what the description includes the description includes going to a place where there are brahmanas that are singing the Vedas. So Ravana, although a demon, had upbringing, Brahminical father, and so he wanted to take advantage of the power of the Vedas to enhance his power and the power of his kingdom. So karmakanda rituals. And so Hanuman saw all that. And so Sita's not there. So then, this place, that place, we get through the eyes and the experience of Hanuman, we get a picture of what's life like in the kingdom of Ravana, or the kingdom of a big demon. And then, many ladies, beautiful ladies, that were charmed by Ravana's 10 heads and strength and power and this and that and the other. So they were very faithful, loyal. Some were, obedient because they didn't have a choice, but that's not described. The description in Sundarakanda is the opulence and the beauty, and they're being attached. So, his harem of ladies were very attached to him. It's the demon that had kidnapped 16,100 princesses and put them in prison. They were in prison, and they weren't attached to the demon that had put them in prison. And when Krishna came, then and killed the demon, the queens, they were attracted to the all-attractive. They weren't attracted to the king that had imprisoned them. So these are queens or ladies or whatever that are very attracted. So apparently there was some, besides opulence, there was and strength, there was some beauty in the body of, in the presence of Ravana. Anyway, all of this is just to say the persons of demoniac mentality are not necessarily ugly and disheveled and, mangled and, terrifying looks and stuff like that. Many may have been, but, he was charming to many. A lot of beautiful ladies, charming. And then, Hanuman reasoned, Sita's not in the monk. I don't know what she looks like, but she's not here. Because he's looking for Sita. The whole, it's very nice, the search for Sita. And then, when he finds her, he's very clear that this must be her. So, then he has his way of verifying and winning her trust, and so it's a very wonderful description. Sundarakanda. So back to this part of the Leela. I was noting that on the one hand and on the other hand, Samudra didn't right away come and make himself available as Ramachandra wanted. And 3 days of fasting, and then there are different versions of Ramayana. This says just by his glance, the ocean started to boil. And I didn't know, is it true that in sea water, in salty sea water, there's crocodiles? Because it's mentioned as crocodiles. Crocodiles are, my understanding, is fresh water. But anyway, that's what the Bhagavatam says, crocodiles and sharks. They were uncomfortable. So and other versions of Ramayana says he shot arrows into the water and the water boiled. That's okay. The water boiled. And Samudra came forward. Now, Samudra's right away saying, you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why didn't come before? If he understands all that. To me, it's puzzling. Other than his intelligence was taken away by the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that this little pastime could come in with folded palms. He is offering prayers to the personality of Godhead in this way. And then he's speaking of the ocean as my waters. You know, if he understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's his waters, not my waters. And I'm taking some responsibility for your waters. I'm your servant, and you're the master. So I'm a little puzzled by some of that language. Now he's not a pure devotee. Doesn't have everything. He didn't attend the Bhagavatam class sufficiently, so he's not completely clear. But we're attending Bhagavatam class, and we should move in that direction at least, be completely clear of the position of the personality of Godhead and his dear devotees. So he's ready, once he understands Ramachandra's position, to assist him in all ways, and even very kindly suggests what he knows is going to happen. Make a bridge that floats. Rocks that float. Rocks don't float. There's some versions of Ramayana that say because they wrote Ram's name on the rocks floated. But it doesn't say that in the Bhagavatam. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but however it happened. The rock floated. He doesn't need to write something on the rock. The rock can float. He can make rock float. You know, if he can make planets in the sky float, he can make rock float. No, he can make anything happen. And it's a pastime. It's a pastime to enhance our appreciation for the personality of God. And it's effective. The whole, I'll end with this, the whole Ramayana, of course this is in the Bhagavatam, and the story of Ramachandra is not only in Ramayana, or not only in Bhagavatam and Ramayana, it's in Mahabharata, it's in all the Puranas, because he's an incarnation of the personality of Godhead. So there's descriptions and descriptions and descriptions, and there's details, and there's some details because of the 24,000 verses of Valmiki isn't going to be comprehensive. So there's others that say other things, and it's okay. It's fine. But very celebrated, and the purpose of all these, the same as the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas is to know Krishna, and to understand Krishna by different teachings. That is the benefit. There's purification just by hearing the pastimes, and then through the purification that comes from hearing the pastimes comes the awareness or awakened state of consciousness of the source of everything. In other words, all of that's covered, but when the covering is removed, then it becomes revealed. The source of everything is. And that's the cultural benefit of persons that grow up with hearing Ramayana as opposed to hearing Superman or Harry Potter or whatever other people hear, you know, in school or in the world, Alice in Wonderland and fiction. Different outcome. So I'll take a look more closely. Let's see how far we get while I'm here for our morning classes. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the chapter. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This was actually a question asked by Ranga. I was also like thinking, like Hanuman started off without knowing how Sita would look like. So what was the confidence, or what was the thinking that he could go all the way onto the other side without knowing how she looks like?
What else are you going to do? You know, he is trusting the personality of Godhead, that who she is will become revealed. That was the assignment. Find her, reassure her, and come back. So he had confidence in the assignment. So you and I and all of us sometimes do something. We don't exactly know how it's going to work out, but we go anyways because there's something that's to be done, and we'll sort it out as we go along. Now it's ideal if he has a photograph or something.
It's like complete dependence on.
Yeah. We all do things like that with dependence, without sufficient, complete, comprehensive information. We go, and then there's surprises along the way. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, I was thinking about what you said about Ravana, like he was charming and Lanka was beautiful. So seems like, can we say he was a demon but in mode of goodness? Like,
No. No.
So how would you attribute these qualities, like in what mode?
Misusing that which is of value, whether it's the opulence or Vedic recitation or anything, using something with a demoniac purpose is the hallmark of a demon. Doesn't mean that the demons have to be, groveling and they can be opulent. Some demons are, and they're present and past.
So yeah, those people who were attracted to him either as wives or citizens or whoever.
Yeah.
So externally it looks as
Nice.
if, and he's also chanting.
Vedic mantras.
Yeah.
It's a good guy. Top of the pile. Let's go. Without naming names, there are people like that in the world today. And then this one is bashing that one. It's a material life.
So yeah, the internal motivation was consciousness.
Yes, that's it.
Makes a whole difference, like
Yes,
180 degree.
day and night.
Yes. So Maharaj, I was thinking, like even in this, even like for me, I feel that there is both, like,
The mind and demoniac qualities.
yes, and externally it may look I'm doing service, but I have to closely look inside, and it may look very flashy and perfect, out externally, but it's the inside that has
That's
to
all of us.
Yes, Maharaj.
There are exalted Vaishnavas that offer prayers exactly like this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur one. Look inside me, you won't find a good quality. Look inside me, you'll find only faults. I'm a pretender. Not being cute, but feeling those feelings. Genuinely. Now wait a minute, because they're intelligent and they're devotional, so why are they seeing those and saying those and feeling those? It's part of Vaishnava humility. Now, in my case, you might say, in my case, it's not just Vaishnava humility; it's real. Sorry, but it's not. So that's a part of humility, as opposed to the opposite, pride and whether one boasts about it or not, you're just feeling, the opposite.
So Maharaj, how can I protect myself from, even it's the mind can deceive me saying that I'm doing service, but how do I?
Shelter. You know the answer. It's shelter. You keep in good association. And that's a characteristic of one who has taken shelter. They don't go away from that good association. They don't leave it. It doesn't leave them. That's their protection. Not exactly protect yourself, it's being protected in the association of devotees. The protection is making the right choices, but it's not you protect yourself. That's foolish. Or that's a big mistake. Then you're easily broken. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Maharaj, I was thinking about the point of Krishna's birth and activities transcendental. And as you pointed out, that ultimately what matters is our realization. And only when that realization is there, then one can have that ticket back to Godhead. So just wanted to check my understanding of what does it mean by the transcendental nature of birth and activities of Krishna. So by the transcendental nature of birth, what I understand is that Krishna's form is never material. It is the self-same Krishna who is there in Goloka Vrindavan appearing before Arjuna when he was appearing. And for activities, he is never touched by the modes of material nature, like namam karmani limpanti, name karma phala spriya, that he is never overcome by any of the inebrieties that are generally present in a conditioned soul. Are these two understandings?
Well, one can elaborate on either of them. And make that point and expand that point and other points about the transcendental nature of his appearance. He doesn't need a mother and father to make his appearance, and so forth and so on. There's many things to say about the transcendental nature of his appearance and activities. The uncommonness, that was the emphasis in this particular section. At the age of 3 months, he killed a terrible demon, and from the very beginning, his everything. He appears as a four-armed Vishnu form and assumed a childlike form, and who does that? Or dancing with 16,000 Krishnas, with the 16,000 gopis. So there's many things, you can go on and on and on. The transcendental nature of that his potencies are without limit, and he can exhibit those potencies however he likes and then withdraw them. The Brahma Vimohan Lila, the transcendental nature of his activities. He appears as human, but he's not human. Exhibiting his divinity through his pastimes. So that in appearance and activities both. And that it's not fiction. It's revealed description of the personality of Godhead. Okay?
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Swami Maharaj